Hello everybody and welcome back to the Battle for Azeroth beta. It's been a while since I've made a video, but that is because the beta has been bugged so badly it's barely even been worth playing. Dungeons weren't working, you couldn't even queue for them, and then they fixed it, but then the dungeons were so bugged that it wasn't even worth running them half the time, because things just didn't work. And then it's just been a mess. But I'm back now, and I'm doing a bit of a different sort of video today. I'm not going to do a dungeon run, because quite frankly, dungeons get so hectic with this this Fury Warrior that I'm about to play that there's too much to talk about, and the dungeons are over before I really get a chance to say what I want to say. So we're gonna just do some world quests while I explain what's going on. You get to see a bit of the actual scenery of the new areas. So this is Stormsong Valley, and we're heading into Tirigard Sound. So the Fury Warrior, it's been redesigned and iterated on 3 times, I think, maybe more, during this beta, stroke alpha. And it's been redesigned quite heavily in certain regards. But the main thing is they wanted it to be really fast and really furious, I guess. But yeah, so what they've done is they've taken what you got on live and changed the way that a lot of the abilities work. So the abilities are still here. It's just that they don't work the same way. So as far as your main rotational stuff goes, Bloodthirst has changed. I believe it generates more rage than it does on live. And it still has a chance to enrage you, but it's not based on critical strike. It's actually just a flat amount. You have a chance for it to happen.
Do not include that monster. Take it down.
Is that really the boss that bad? Okay. So Bloodthirst has a chance to enrage you, so I'll use it here. I was lucky, it worked. We had enough to spend on Rampage, so we'll use that. Oh, that's slow. Give me that enrage again. God damn it. That little ball thing's actually proven to be quite the nuisance. There we go, it's dead now. Yeah, it's not very a threatening looking creature, this one. And obviously at Rampage still guarantees to enrage you as well, which is obviously a good thing.
Fine work. Our operations can move ahead as planned.
So Bloodthirst is kind of the same. It's your main source of getting enraged outside of Rampage. Raging Blow on live, you can only use that when you are enraged. That is no longer the case. It is actually a 2-charge system now. Is that a quest item? It's actually a 2-charge system now. I'll mouse over it so you can get the juicy details. I think it's an 8-second recharge affected by haste. Bloodthirst is also affected by haste, by the way. And this generates 12 rage, which is a hell of a lot more than the 5 that you're currently used to. It also has a 20% chance to reset its own cooldown, so you could spam the crap out of this, and if you're lucky you might be able to cast it 5 times in a row or something crazy. So, really solid generator ability. Low cooldown, chance to reset, it's great. So those are your 2 main rotational things. I suppose you could also include Whirlwind based on the situation. And actually on single target as well now. So normally you use Whirlwind for, you know, AoE and then buffing your Cleave. So I'll mention Furious Slash now, because that is something that has gone. Furious Slash used to be the thing that you'd press in order to fill the rotation out. You know, like you've got nothing to press, well that feels shit, what am I going to press? Oh, I guess I've got Furious Slash. They've done away with Furious Slash because, honestly, nobody liked it. Nobody liked it. And they said, you know what, the audio, not, well I suppose audio was, I think this audio visual, I think was the term they used, feedback for Whirlwind is pretty damn good. So let's make that the ability that you press when you've got nothing available. So Whirlwind now generates, I think it's 3 rage? Yeah, 3 rage plus an additional 1 per target hit, so you're always going to get a minimum of 4. So that is the button that you press when you don't have Bloodthirst or Raging Blow or Execute ready to press. Good stuff. So let's pop Wreck charge in there. Generate some stuff, use my Rampage to get enrage. And I'm going to press a couple of buttons that might not necessarily make sense until I explain them, but not going to slow things down just for the sake of killing this that much slower. So as you can see with the weak auras that I'm using, I've got an enraged tracker bar and a few other things down at the bottom. All the things down there are rotational abilities. One of them's on a 30-second cooldown and one of them's on a 35-second cooldown, but they are all rotational abilities. Alright, so that's that dead, so let's fly on out of here. So Rampage is your main spender still, and you can augment it. It costs 85, but if you go into the talents you can get Carnage to make it do 10% more damage and cost 10 less, or you can go for costing 95 and increasing damage done, all damage done, by 10% and increasing haste for 10%. So I'm running Frothing because that 10% can synergize quite nicely with a lot of stuff. Also worth mentioning is Enrage itself, actually. So Enrage gives you a shit ton of haste instead of attack speed, which further reduces the cooldowns of all your abilities. So this is where the pace of the spec is really coming into play. So feels pretty damn good in some cases. Let's fly on over there. So you've got a lot of haste. You can get 35% haste if you take Frothing Berserker and you're enraged, which makes the cooldowns of Raging Blow, Bloodthirst, Execute, I think it might just be those, lower. Execute, cooldown. Did I say that right? I did. Execute has a cooldown now of 6 seconds, augmented by haste. However, the Enrage effect and the Frothing Berserker and your static haste that you just have on gear makes the cooldown of this thing stupidly low. You'll be using it every 2 globals, roughly. It goes down to like 3.5 seconds or something in my gear, and my gear is pretty bad. I've only got 12.2% haste baseline. So Execute is now a cooldown ability, and it also generates 20 rage. It's a generating, low health, hard hitting still ability. So it's going to take some getting used to, but it's not actually bad. You won't, once you've got used to it, you won't even notice it. So what else is there? You can go back into the Furious Slash if you so choose to do so, if you take Furious Slash. Now Furious Slash is actually the same as it is on live if you take the Frenzy talent. They've just merged the two together and made the actual ability not baseline anymore and just made it part of the talent itself. It does more damage than Whirlwind, so you can justify using it over Whirlwind as a filler ability, and it still gives haste, although the haste it gives is quite significantly lower. It gives 2% per stack up to 3 times, but you've got to bear in mind 6% haste, plus 25% from Enrage, plus your base haste, plus if you take Frothing Berserker, an extra 10% haste. You have got so much haste. It is absolutely ludicrous. It is mental. So that is something that can also be talented for. You've still got your base stuff, you know, you've got your Enrage regeneration, your Rallying Cry, your Charge, your Leap, your Recklessness, all the stuff that you're used to. You also have Victory Rush as well, which I don't believe you have on live. Trying to find where the hell this thing is. I think there's probably a cave. Yes, there is.
Be on your guard. I sense something ominous here. Deal with it before it deals with
So as you can see, although you've got good rage generation, it does take a little bit of time to build up your rage to 95 if you do choose to take Frothing Berserker. But it's not so bad. Ooh, the Queen. So before I charge in here and pop Recklessness, I'll actually explain what Recklessness does now, because it is different. So on live it's called Battle Cry, and it gives you 100% haste, crit, which obviously fuels your enrage and stuff. It's changed now, it's only 20% crit, but it also increases your rage regeneration by 100%, and it lasts 10 seconds, so it's pretty good, you know, because you're always going to have a baseline amount of haste, which means the increased by 100, some of it is always lost, but having 20% crit is nice. You know, not everybody has 100% chances, but the rage generation and the duration really help out a lot. So let's pop Wreck. Charge in there. Okay, wasn't able to charge for some reason. And you can get really crazy amounts of rage generation. Let's just stun it. Use our Execute proc. Yes, I say Execute proc, it's good stuff. I'll go into my talents and sort that out in a moment after I've killed this thing. Use it again. And I got an instant reset on my Raging Blow there, so I could use it multiple times. And it's all about trying to stay enraged and use all your abilities that have longer cooldowns within that window. So, execute procs. Yeah, we're going to go into the talent section now, since we've covered most of the baseline stuff. So let's start from the top. War Machine gives you more rage on basic attacks. It's okay, I guess. I'd probably take it more for the movement speed though, when you kill stuff, because it's not great. Endless Rage. Whenever you're in rage, you get 6 rage. Again, it's not great. But Fresh Meat, this is where the good stuff is. Bloodthirst has 15% chance, increased chance to trigger Enrage and heals for 20% more. So baseline it heals for 5%, with this it heals for 6. Enrage, 15%, was it 15%? I've got a memory like a goldfish. So I have 45% chance, so it's only 30 if you don't take First Blood. And obviously you want to get as much Enrage uptime as you possibly can in all situations. Second row, take whatever the situation requires of you. It's not exactly set in stone. And then the next one, level 45. So this is where the execute procs come into play. Sudden Death has returned for Fury, which gives your attacks a chance to allow you to use a execute on any threshold of health. You may already be used to this playstyle if you have the legendary ring, but with legendaries going away, they decided to bring it back in the form of a talent, and honestly, I don't really even mind that they brought it back as a talent because it feels good to have it.
Alliance forces are mulling about near your location.
It does obviously compete with Furious Slash and Inner Rage. Furious Slash, what I already mentioned, is the thing that you can use as a filler, but as also to give you even more haste. And then Inner Rage reduces the cooldown of Raging Blow by 1 second and increases its damage. I have tested this out a little bit, and I will say that so far it seems that... Oh, that's a lot of stuff that just came up there. Use my Victory Rush. Keep my Whirlwind going so I can cleave properly. Pulled a bit more than I intended to with that. But yeah, so far Sudden Death seems to be the one that sort of feels the best and increases your overall DPS by an okay amount. Furious Charge, Bounding Stride, Warpaint, take whatever you want. I will say Enrage no longer causes you to take any increased damage, and Warpaint, which reduced the effect of that, now actually makes you more tanky. You just straight up take less damage when enraged. So that could be quite useful in High Mythic Plus if you're taking a lot of AoE and stuff. Carnage, Massacre, Frothing. I've already covered Frothing, it's a great talent. Carnage, 10% more damage on Rampage, but only on Rampage, and it also costs less. The fact that it costs less means that you have a lot more control over your enrage uptime, resulting in a higher enrage uptime, which isn't tied to RNG. And Massacre, execute on things that are at 35% health instead of 20. So your Cleave is related to Whirlwind. I don't play a warrior on live, so I can't comment as to if this is actually still the case. But every time you Whirlwind, you get a stack of Whirlwind. It's not called Meat Cleaver anymore. And that causes your next 2 abilities to cleave up to 4 additional targets for 40% of the damage done. I'm supposed to click on that flag. So that's where a lot of your stuff comes from, and it's also why Whirlwind fits quite nicely into the rotation as the filler spec, or filler ability should I say, because that means that your AoE is a lot more consistent. Am I supposed to kill this guy? Ah, yes, I think I am. I don't know. I can't even be bothered looking at this area anymore. Anyway, I mentioned Meat Cleaver, not being called Meat Cleaver anymore. That's because Meat Cleaver's over here as a talent. It augments Whirlwind, causes it to have a 10% chance to enrage you, which is pretty nice, and also generates more rage. On a single target it generates 4, but on AoE you can get quite a nice amount of rage generation from this ability. Don't think that's working. Just head through here, through the village, and take in the scenery of Justvar. So, that is what Meat Cleaver does, and honestly it's a really solid ability. However, if you need burst AoE more than caring about that 10% enrage being the main thing on a single target or something, perhaps you want to take Dragon Roar. Dragon Roar being a 35-second cooldown, which I wish it was 30 instead of 35, but it isn't. Let's go this way. But it is a 35-second cooldown. However, it does a shit ton of damage. 10k damage. Just for reference, Rampage is doing less damage than Dragon Roar. Actually, it's about the same. But yeah, it hits like a truck, Dragon Roar, and if you use it whilst enraged, that's even more damage. Bladestorm is also in, and the way this works out is actually quite strange. Bladestorm and Dragon Roar actually do the same duration of same amount of damage over a 1 minute duration, because you get to use Dragon Roar approximately twice. And it also channels over a very small amount of time, 2.7 seconds, and it generates a bit of rage, as does Dragon Roar. So it's kind of, if you're not going to take Meat Cleaver, it depends on how often you want your AoE ability to be usable out of these two that you take. Then you've got Reckless Abandon, which 3 seconds longer on Recklessness, and it generates 100 rage upon use. Not amazing, but it's okay, I suppose. Anger Management. Every 25 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Recklessness by 1 second. Now that is sounding a lot like Convergence of Fates, no? So they've given Convergence of Fates as a talent essentially, which a lot of people like on live. Maybe not the case on beta though, because you have Siegebreaker, which is essentially Colossus Smash on a 30-second cooldown. Does quite a lot of damage compared to your base abilities. Generates 15 rage, and makes you do 15% more damage for 10 seconds. So, with all that in mind, let's try and find something tanky to kill. Okay, we've got these guys here. So I'm going to charge this, use my thing there. Now that I've got enraged, I'm going to use that Siegebreaker and Dragon Roar. And then I'm going to carry on trying to generate rage as I normally would. Obviously, I don't like the fact that this dude's here, because everything dies that much faster, which sucks, because I can't really show my full rotation in all its glory. But that's how that works. Siegebreaker is something that there's been quite a lot of talk about on the forums, because people they don't like it. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, because it's a good ability. It's just that a lot of people feel like the identity of ARMS has been sort of damaged by Fury having this ability. That is a big dude. So this is a bit more tanky, so I'll go and attack that. So I'm going to try and use Enrage. When I'm enraged, use Siegebreaker and Dragon Roar, and try and just go from there. So I'm going to pop Recklessness so I get more rage off the charge. Charge in there. Use Siegebreaker, Dragon Roar, Rampage to keep the enrage going. Use the Execute proc within that Siegebreaker window. Keep generating rage with my baseline abilities as I try to get it all flowing. Get out the Shockwave. Not got anything to press, so I'll use Whirlwind and then Whirlwind again. Bloodthirst is ready again. Use the Rampage. Use all the other abilities. Got reset on cooldown there. Execute proc. Now it's just in execute range, so let's Rampage and use Execute. And we'll just kill it while remaining on pretty much full health, because you're healing so much with that 6%. It's pretty good. Don't know why this is getting tracked. So that was a bit more of a tanky mob that allowed me to show the rotation off a bit better. So you've always got something to press. It feels a bit weird that when Bloodthirst and Raging Blow aren't ready that you press Whirlwind, but that is what you do. It generates a bit of rage and gives you something to press, and does damage. So it's that is just the way it goes. You are fully global cooldown locked as a Fury Warrior, but I'm pretty sure that is the case on live as well, with Furious Slash. So my thoughts on Fury overall then. You're going to need weak auras. You are going to need weak auras, not necessarily like I have, but something in that sort of idea, because there is so much to track with little cooldowns and slightly bigger cooldowns. and procs and damage windows and all this kind of stuff. But how does it feel? It feels fucking good, man. I'm not gonna lie. Its damage, I did whack away on a target dummy a little bit to compare damage to Arms. Arms is ever so slightly ahead, within like 2% or so. Arms is ever so slightly ahead. But that doesn't mean that Fury is bad in any way. They are so competitive that it's probably going to fluctuate a little bit, but it barely even makes a difference. It really doesn't. So Fury Warrior, everybody. What a great spec. What a fantastic rework. They've done great stuff with this. I remember playing it in the alpha, and it was a total shit show, you know, because you had the global cooldown change making Battlecry rubbish, but then they've improved that by making it last longer. They've pruned abilities that needed to be pruned to make the spec feel better. It plays so fast. It's got nice self-sustain with healing off Bloodthirst. It's got utility if you need to spec into stuns and stuff, and you've got Rallying Cry, strong defensive in Enraged Regeneration. It's got so much good stuff. And of course it has Battle Shout, let's not forget that. Battle Shout being a party and raid buff, which means that every raid our party is going to want a warrior within it. Warriors are going to be very desirable because of this ability. You've got a lot of variation with the way that you can play it. Do you want to have more rampages to give you more enraged uptime? Maybe you're doing a lot of target swapping, so it's not really worth taking Frother. Do you want to just go balls to the wall with Massacre and just execute the shit out of everything, along with sudden death? So you're doing it the entire fight almost. Do you want to go with Dragon Roar for a bit of best AoE or more consistent AoE with Meat Cleaver? You've got a lot of nice options here. I really like this spec. I really do. So I can't recommend it enough. Warrior is probably going to be the spec that the class that I main in Legion because Battle for Azeroth, simply because they've done such a great job with Arms and Fury. They really have. Prot needs a little bit of love, but when tuning comes into play, it probably will work out just fine. So there you go. 10 out of 10 for the rework. Brilliant jobs, developers. Fury Warrior Battle for Azeroth Beta. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.